Let's speak about origins of Central, my origins, and we have a short video about to put a concept. So we've been showing some images about what we do. Of course, Central, Mater, MASI, Mil. Central, we've been doing Central for about 17 years. I do have, I started Central 17 years ago, and the first 10 years, it was just a restaurant, just trying, and a chef, cook, trying to please people. Of course, like with young chef, like big team, different standards. And it all changed when we started to work as a group with Mater Iniciativa. Quite difficult to understand, to explain Mater, what we do with Mater. This whole thing about humanidades, research, science, arts, and then, but in a way it changed the way we work with Central, because we understand that it wasn't about the ingredient, it wasn't about my story of my origins, working for different chefs. When I say like Central changed because Mater, it was because before I was doing interpretation of different chefs, where I used to work before, 10 years abroad. So it had a big influence on my cooking, on our cooking. And it was a very eclectic restaurant, Central. You were able to see like different interpretations of the world. And after Mater, we started to work on an idea, which the idea was ecosystems, not products. Whole ecosystem, natural ecosystems and cultural ecosystems. And that's quite important because in a way we start to see that the whole world in altitudes. We have a menu called Mundo en Desnivel, which means that we start from the bottom of the ocean, we go to the desertic areas, the coast, then we go to the Andes, the mountains, the high peaks, where we develop extreme altitude dishes, and then we go to the Amazon. So that's the whole explanation of what we do in Central. So you experience this, let's say 3 hours, 4 hours, and now we're now doing another experience where you stay for 6 to 7 hours, and you go to in a way, to the backstage of the kitchen. You experience some other areas in the restaurant, and that's like, in a way, providing more. That's the way we provide more context of what we do in Central. Then we create meal. Well, you can see the chakra meal. This is where we get our ingredients, but this is one of the deepest connections that we have with the environment, and it's very meaningful for us nowadays, because we got to connect to people and community. Normally now, as a restaurants, of course, we always say like, we want to build community, want to be sustainable. I mean, we have different labels, and they're good. But if we continue, thinking about all these programs of labels, in the end, we are all going to be, in a way, standardized. And the idea is that we need to change, in this industry, the ones that we're supposed to be doing fine dining, and the ones that we have strong teams, motivation, people that is dying to work with us, we need to provide to these people a sense of purpose, of course, and joy, in this working space or whatever they do. So that's why, this combination of central, mater, meal, it actually works to give meaning to the people that is working in our restaurants. It's quite important because when we speak about, I remember like probably like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, our ideas or our messages, it was all about like, okay, we want the diners or the guests to leave the restaurant happy, amazed about what we do. But nowadays, I think that has to be the result or the consequence of having happy people working in a beautiful environment. And our environment now, the restaurant, the community, in our case, is Mater, the research center, is Meal up in the mountains, is Coye, where Pia, my wife, is working in her restaurant, and some other different projects that we do. And then I just want to talk about like what we do in Meal, because normally probably you know what we do in Central. In Meal, we work with high Andean, high altitude ecosystems. So everything that we serve, everything that you are feeling, everything that you are sensing is coming from ingredients at 2,000 meters above sea level to 5,000 meters above sea level. So we don't use any ingredient that is coming from the ocean, and we are not using any ingredient coming from the Amazon. And that's quite interesting because, in a way, we connect to this idea of hyperlocal, which again is another label, but we connect actually with the people. So that's one of the most meaningful things that we have. It's like working with 300 families. About 100 people is working direct with us, with the restaurant. 15 people from these 300 families are working in the restaurant, not just like cooking or serving. So that's one of the best connections that we have now with Peru and with the world. And what am I saying the world? Because that connects us to give sense to what we do, in a way to understand, when we talk about food, these deep connections depend on your connection with people. So by the time we open MAZ in Tokyo, now I'm going to talk about our restaurant, which is in a way is our satellite of what we do. We opened there about 6 years ago, and having so much fun. It's a great restaurant, and for us, it's a beautiful example of how we are now just sending ideas and not sending ingredients as Peruvians we used to do. We used to do it a lot, like like always thinking about sending coffee, cacao, and now in MAZ, what we do is we're sending the whole ideas of how can we create ecosystems. So basically, what we do in MAZ now is we are having inspiration coming from natural ecosystems in Peru applied to Japanese ingredients. And the restaurant is working very well with this matter and meal and central ideas. So for me, central and meal is for me, of course, central for me is like home. Meal, of course, is for me the future of how can we connect in a very extreme way to natural ecosystems. The idea of meal is interesting because it's not in Cusco. It's at 4,000 meters above sea level. So just to go there is a whole trip. It takes 2 hours to get there by car. 1 hour from flight from Lima. The whole thing is very meaningful because once you go there to that altitude, you get to see how the whole community is working with us. So you get to see different people in the Andes working with us, and that's part of the experience. So, and then of course we want to have another idea of fine dining. I know the word fine dining, like alta cocina, doesn't sound like exciting anymore. Probably sometimes it's taken as a wrong thing, but we should, protect this idea of what I was mentioning at the beginning, we have lots of people with passion, very talented people. We need to articulate different fields of work in gastronomy, in this food industry. And probably we chefs, we don't have the answers. And now we have a lot of people that are providing, different contexts to develop different ideas. What is now our obsession, is becoming our obsession, is how can we encapsulate these ideas or these ecosystems to create products and create experiences. And again, we are creating this brand called MASI, where we are encapsulating ecosystems and products into products, and then we create experiences. So you land in Peru, you can go to the Andes, you can go to the Amazon, you can go to our restaurants, our places, and get to enjoy, what's happening in Peru. It could happen anywhere. Media has become an inspiration for many of us because this idea of being hyper-local is truly like authentic, and this is something that we're missing a lot in gastronomy, like authenticity. I know there's a lot of storytelling now, and Central is a restaurant where we used to do, and we do a lot, storytelling. And sometimes, people that come to Central, they want a story. Of course, we provide a story, but that story has to be very coherent with what we do and what we present. Not easy to put everything on the same line, but it's happening in Central, in Mil, in all these different projects. I have another video about what we do with all these three concepts. So all these concepts are actually projects. Projects that are happening like Waru, Chagra, Etnobotanica, Camelidos, and everything in the end is coming from matter. Matter is the heart of our research and our creativity and innovation. Brian, should I introduce you? Let's have a conversation.
Sure.
Thank you.
Amazing, as always, to see. It's funny because we spoke about some questions beforehand, and then while I was sat down there, like lots of questions were coming to me. So you mentioned this idea of, for a long time as a chef, when you first started, you were interpreting what other chefs did.
Yeah.
Do you remember that moment when you found your own voice, when you found your own style, and what was it that triggered that?
Yeah, it took me a while. I used to work for many chefs, probably like 10 years in Europe. And it was difficult because by the time I wanted to become a chef, cook, I mean, probably like being a chef wasn't that nice option. You had to, follow a career, and you know the whole story about this. But yeah, I traveled. I spent 10 years abroad. But I didn't have the passion. I didn't have the craft. I was just working on very different gastronomies in parts of the world, not Peruvian. When I came back to Peru, I started to understand that there was something going on, like a whole movement. I got to enjoy, working for Gaston Acurio, where in those days he was making this revolution of Peruvian gastronomy, and I got engaged to that, so I found passion. But it wasn't that the moment. That was the moment where I felt like, okay, probably it's not Europe my inspiration. It is Peru, yeah. But I think I got the call, the real call, when we decided to open Matter, and we took this very serious as a research and interpretation center. And then we went with meal as a concept, as an idea. And then we started to work with all these people. And then we understood that the restaurant actually it has an impact on society. So I think that was the moment when I realized that being a cook, being a chef, I mean, actually there's more than cooking.
Points in your presentation where I felt a little bit of frustration at the industry. You did fine dining in inverted apostrophes. You said that it's not so authentic, or it's really important to be authentic. And how do you maintain authenticity in a world full of storytelling that is sometimes a little bit over the top?
Yeah. I always try to I don't know. I'm still thinking about this because the whole the world is moving too quick. But I mean, the stories are way too nowadays. Like when you talk about experiences in gastronomy, like what kind of experience? You talk about immersive experiences. What kind of immersive experiences are you enjoying? So I don't know if what's the meaning of fine dining now. Is it like luxury ingredients? Is it like people working, with craft and passion and art? Is it an artistic performance? So it's quite difficult to me to understand, what's the whole meaning of fine dining. We've been talking about for many years about redefining the fine dining, and nowadays I think it's part of a beautiful working space with beautiful, nice people, people enjoying the space, people motivated by the work, and a lot of purpose and meaning. And this is tough, to achieve, and that's why, yeah, sometimes you get to see like the new fine dining happening, and with this lack of soul, and that really, I don't know, like kind of bothers me.
How do we stop that happening? How do we stop that happening? How do we combat that?
I mean, we gotta be honest and we gotta talk. Yeah, I know sometimes it puts you in a position where you feel like this kind of hater, of the fine dining or whatever. But I do practice fine dining. So. And sometimes I go against what I do. Sometimes I go against the expectations of my guests. But this kind of self-criticism is good. Like sometimes I can recognize now, like we've made lots of mistakes while we've been doing Central. We've opened few other restaurants that were like with this lack of soul, and I think probably the experience showed me that we do have to make mistakes. I don't know if you remember, we opened a restaurant in Hong Kong, we opened in Russia, we opened in London. Okay, yeah, that was tough. So we made mistakes. So I can talk to you now about, oh yeah, we're opening in Mill, we're opening in Japan. This is so fantastic. But I think we closed about 10 restaurants.
Was that because you felt the need to expand? You were like, we must grow?
That's what I was trying to say. Like, I don't know if I had, like, sometimes we're following, because we're following the program and the labels, we think that if we have a fine dining restaurant, after that, we have to have some casual restaurants. And then you have to think of expansion in a way. From my perspective now, this is not the way. I think my expansion has to be going to Mill and going to Mater and follow more like this articulation of different arts and culture and working with different disciplines. And that's for me the way. I'm not saying that this is the way for other chefs, but if my work is an inspiration for somebody mostly in Latin America, I think it's good, because in a way we're going back to our origins, and we don't think that we should go abroad to do better or to be the best. I mean, like what we do, I mentioned that Japan for us is a consequence of having Central and Mill. And Japan is working because the ideas are coming from Peru. So, but if Japan is working because Peru is working, okay? So I think we need to follow this. So probably our expansion could be more in a local, region or territory.
Why do you think it does work so well in Japan, this idea, versus the other countries that you tested it in and stepped away
from? That's an amazing question, because I'm like...
Your team sent me that one.
I go 2 times per year, and every time I go there, I keep changing my ideas on what should I be doing there. You know what's funny, because I think in Japan everything is so perfect, everything is so like this, okay? And we are in a way Latinos, like we are a bit disorganized, chaotic, all. And again, Peru is colors, is different messages. So different ingredients, biodiversity. So in a way, I know there's a lot of information, and it's not about just dropping ideas, in a tasting menu and giving this to this Japanese audience. No, it's about how can we articulate all these beautiful colors, all this art, craft, all this beauty coming from Peru, all these nice ingredients coming from Peru, and make a nice experience. So that thing, if we think this way, is very different to what is happening in this Japanese fine dining. So Japanese fine dining is very rigid in a way for me. So I think we do the opposite. Actually, we're becoming another one important destination while people go to Tokyo. Now we are one of the restaurants that people is recommending as a destination. So for me, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, like I have never imagined that would happen to us.
And obviously, everything you do is so rooted in Peru and Peruvian culture and discovery of Peru. Does it work the other way around now? I know it's your satellite restaurant from Central and everything you're doing at Mill, but is Japan influencing the other way around?
Well, it's good that you mentioned this because we have the Nikkei cuisine, which is like more famous as a Peruvian Japanese mix, but it's very different. Normally people think that are you gonna do what Mitsuharu Tsumura is doing in Maido in Japan? No, like I'm not Nikkei. I don't have any context, or I don't know anything about Japanese. Like I don't know, I know a little, but I don't know much about Japanese culture. Anyway, so I think now about ingredients, which I'm a bit against that. Like always like exporting our ingredients. Like you go to Japan, you go to Korea, and you see the most amazing Peruvian coffee, the most amazing Peruvian cacao. So for me, it's about transformation. Okay, let's just have an idea of how can we not create just let's say the chocolate. The end of the experience in Central and Mill in talking mass is about an evolution of the fruit of cacao as serving the whole, do a performance of the whole chocolate. So it's just exporting ideas. I think you mentioned that at the beginning, like what we do is ideas and not just providing ingredients.
And I really want to get into this like multidisciplinary sort of approach that you've got right now and go through some of those. Like I saw architecture on there, I saw food science. Just before that, the origins of this event is kind of based in food marketing. And I think Peru is often held up as an example of a country that has done food marketing as a country very well. There's so many tourism boards now spending so much money, and I'm sure there's meetings in those tourism boards where they're like, how can we be the next Lima? How can we be the next Peru? Why do you think Peru has done so well in kind of defining its food culture and selling it out to the world as like a...
Yeah, I think like 20 years ago, like a promotion of from Peru, they did an amazing job going to different conferences in the world. By the time that, Madrid Fusion and this kind of conference were very important, and they are now less important, as because there are too many now. And but from Peru was always there, with a stand promoting, ceviche, sour, and some ingredients,
But I remember it started as these like little dinners that you would do at like the London Embassy or something like that.
The Tiger's Milk thing, or
yeah, you would do these little mini dinners, these little pop-ups in different countries.
And then that's what I was trying to say. Like, okay, it all started with this plan of the government, because of course Peruvians were very proud about our gastronomy, and we just want to share to the whole world. It actually worked. People. We had this gastronomic Peruvian expansion in the world, and we had no idea that ceviche could be, now could be transformed into what is ceviche now as a concept. Ceviche is everywhere in the world, and it's amazing. But then I think we have we have a second and a third stage. The second is where all the chefs we came together, and we start to do this kind of
mafia
collaborations.
The ceviche mafia.
Ceviches, and we start to work. We start to travel to cook, and we're having actually fun. It was fun because we as a Peruvian, and that means a lot because it could sound, as this mafia Peruvian chef, traveling, to conquer the world with ceviche, whatever. But actually, the message was that we were together. We were not competing. We're supposed to compete in the city, but we were not competing. We were sharing, our knowledge. And, I was mentioning Gaston, Mitsuharu, another chef. Like we were just doing things, and we were learning from each other with our own messages. And then, we start to create more inspiration for different chefs. Which is which I think is the third stage for Peruvian gastronomy is what's going to happen next, because in the fine dining In Lima, we have a big impact with 2 restaurants, 3 restaurants, 4 restaurants. But now, in the casual thing, the cevicherias are still important for the city.
You just gave me the next question. Like, what is going to happen next with Peruvian gastronomy? How is it developing from your perspective?
I think the evolution of Peruvian gastronomy is going to be more into this immersion of I think one of the things that work a lot for Central is speaking or doing this translation of landscapes into dishes and just creating ideas through landscapes, people, culture, science, and research. I think what will be happening in Peru will be more like an immersive into going to the Amazon and enjoying things in that place. Going to the Andes and experience all these things happening in this extreme altitudes, for instance.
And last on this kind of topic, are there any other countries right now that you're looking at and you're like, they're the next Peru, they're doing that really well, they're promoting themselves really well?
I haven't seen that much. It's different now because before I remember, and probably you got the same feeling, like people were asking, like which is gonna be the next country that is gonna take over the world of gastronomy. Nowadays, if you ask this, like I think it has no sense, like no answer, right? Because there are many countries that people is traveling. So I think that the world has changed into this idea that we are more standardized, and this, it could be good, but also I think it's not good because we are probably we are all doing the same, and we have no idea that we are doing the same.
What do you mean by that? Everyone's doing the same?
The standardization of thinking, of gastronomy.
Is this because of social media? Yeah.
Social media, is programming ourselves into one thing that is repeating, and the same labels that I was telling you about. Like, okay, you gotta be zero waste, you have to be sustainable, you gotta be this and this.
I think it goes even further. No, you've seen this like homogenization of like the menu setup, the style of menu, the dishes. Like, I'm always going to get a tartlet, then I'm going to get a broth, then I'm going to get a fish, then I probably get a piece of duck. Like, it's happening all. How do you avoid that?
That's been evolving, like before it was champagne and with wine, red wine, the sweet wine, and then tasting menu. Okay, let's do 40 courses. Okay, you were good, you were fine dining because you were doing 40 courses. And now, okay, you gotta go less. Okay, how many? 12. Okay, 9. Okay, how long is experience like this? So why most of the fine dining experience they gotta be like this? And then you go to a casual restaurant. Why all has to be shared? Why now we are all thinking about natural wines? We were talking about this yesterday. And
don't get me started on natural
kind
wines.
of things, and then now. Why we always have two sides of the truth, Okay, the natural wines and the conservative guys like Lorenzo, who was drinking expensive wines.
And bad natural wines.
Yeah.
How do you stay it? Because you are known as to be a very original chef. Is it taking all that influence from outside of the industry that allows you to do that? What's the trick? If a chef in the audience wants to build that originality, wants to stop interpreting, but wants to maintain that originality, even though, because it's not like you can't be on social media, you have to be. That's how you communicate, that's how you manage your audience. But how do you maintain originality when you're bombarded with this homogenization?
That's tough, Like, you need to maintain what you stand for. As a restaurant, of course, we've been saying, like, okay, Central, we're more than a restaurant. Okay, yeah, but everyone is saying this about restaurants now. We are thinking beyond a restaurant, okay. Oh, hospitality has to be amazing. Yeah, it has to be amazing. Service has to be amazing. Yes. We are not searching for perfection. We're searching, for, serving, what truly makes sense. Okay. How can we communicate this? It's just by what you do, and to find this coherence on what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing. So part of this is like, of course, like coming to these presentations and giving a conference where we have a different approach and we talk. Then, of course, social media is important. I'm not against social media at all. Like, it is actually very good for the restaurant if we know how to use it, of course. And then, we need to find, again, this meaning of why are we doing things, this. Yeah. And we need to ask ourselves, like, why are we doing this? Like, does it make sense? Because otherwise it's a waste of time, And if, in my case, like, of course, we are like probably like 300 people working for me, Mater Central, Coye, and MAZ. And it's difficult because every decision that we make has to work for all of us. So we don't, when we show this plan of different projects, everything has to be in a way they have to speak the same language that Mater as a group wants to express.
And that plan, I want to speak about that because it was very impressive when I started to write down a few, like food science, architecture, design.
Yes.
Can you give us some practical examples of what that looks like? So we see this big plan, but what does that happen on like a granular level? What are you working? Are you working on the design of plates? When you say architecture, what do you mean? Food science, what's your sort of input to the world of food science?
That's yeah. In terms of okay, when we just say this local thing, okay, let's be local, hyper local, okay. So it's pretty very simple. Like the table, the material, everything has to come from our local suppliers, producers. All our ingredients, 100% of what we are getting in Central in meal is coming from that region, from Peru. Everything in meal that we are working is coming from those regions in the Andes. And then, of course, the architecture has to come from this region in the Andes. The architecture of meal, I don't know if you watch the images. I mean, it has to be part of the whole Andean ecosystem and the colors and the fibers and the materials. Now we're working with biomaterials. So every waste that we have in the restaurant now is going back to the dining room as a ceramic, as a plate, as a tool, as a spoon. So that's why, and then of course you need the science. Why? Because you need to prove that you're not gonna make any mistake, on health issues or whatever is happening.
And I don't know if anyone, or most people don't realize the years and years of research and work that have gone on through Matter in the background of these restaurants, because their first experience is often at the table. Is that yours? Do you keep that? Or is it something that you're putting out to other restaurants? Could someone else access the kind of knowledge pool that you've created through Matter and with all the research and all the work that you're doing?
That's something that's part of the real communication that we need to provide. And this is something that this is a huge project for us. So how can we make the people aware that level of commitment that we're having in the restaurants? And because for me, that's the whole meaning of why you're coming to Central. You're not coming for the experience, of course. You're not coming for the recipes. Even people who's coming to Central to work, they are not coming for the recipe. We don't send recipes anymore. Like, of course, you're coming for the philosophy, but then you're coming you're coming to our places to understand, the relevance that we have and we give to other fields of work. So what we want is the audience, the guests, people that is like even like not visiting Central, that get to understand what is happening, why we have 50 people working in the restaurant that has no idea that what is happening in hospitality, in the restaurant, with food. So that level of communication is very tough for us to achieve. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're entering a new era where we need to work as chefs. We need to understand, how can we get into this, because of course I find motivation cooking, but I gotta be honest, like I'm not cooking that much anymore. Like I wish I could have some time to be in the kitchen, but sometimes I'm like I spend like 10 minutes in the kitchen and I got a call, I got to fly. So in a way I need to find again my motivation, and I found some motivation on the way we need to develop a new way of communication.
Also products, no? I know that you've been sort of dipping your toe into the water of like products, the chocolate, for example. And here, this is all about food marketing, branding, consumer packaged goods. Is that something that you want to develop as a business? And if so,
Sure.
how would that look? What
Sure,
what
because
products would you work
that's
on?
the way, that's about the democratization of our cuisine. Because most of the people have this idea of, and this is something very good for me to understand, because I had this feeling where, why are you having like an expensive restaurant in a country where, there's a lot of needs, and, people starving next to, in this Andes of Peru, in the Amazon. Why are you having this? So the idea is, okay, so then we found the meaning of having a restaurant, finding a restaurant again, working with people and making this big community of people. So that's why I mentioned these 300 families that they're improving the quality of their lives, not just in economic issues, just as families, that they're working together now with this sense of purpose of Peruvian gastronomy. So I think for me it totally makes sense nowadays to create new possibilities, and then it's not about having lots of people working for a restaurant. Nowadays, it's like having lots of people working for creating new ideas and new products. So that's why we're working on products as I was mentioning, this brand MASI, which is the way that we can express matter, and we can ship matter to different parts of the world. So in a way, this is the democratization of the restaurant.
And can you give us very quickly, because then I want to go to the audience, a sneak peek of some of the products that would be coming out of MASI?
Yeah. Okay. So we have we have a whole set of Teobroma, the Teobroma family, which is we have cacao, macambo, copasu. So we are developing this new line of cacao, where you can have 100% cacao, but it's actually sweet, because the sweetness coming from the pulp of the cacao. So you end up having like 100% of a bite of the fruit, and it's a bar where you're having this sweetness of chocolate, but no sugar added. And then we're working on different ceramics and materials coming from the Amazon and the Andes. And those are ingredients that we are making. And then, well, I have a whole line of vinegars and all these different preparations.
I love it when chefs do like more consumer-facing goods, because you bring your talent, your innovative eye, your knowledge, and the passion for doing something right. And I'd much rather go to a supermarket and buy products of chefs than huge companies, that's for sure. Opening it up to the room. Here we go. We've got very quick raise of the hand at the back there. Paul, very quickly, and then we'll come to you as well. All right, go there first. It's fine. Go there first. Okay.
Sorry. Is that okay? I was a little confused, so sorry if I misheard you, but I talk a lot about hyperlocality, and I'm wondering how you translate hyperlocality to a place like Japan, and are you importing, your ideas but using hyper-local ingredients, or are you actually importing your ingredients? And I'm just curious, like, what those challenges are like for you to keep that concept in your head.
You know, we practice the hyper-locality in Peru, of course, yeah, because we have the control I mean, in a way, the control of our ingredients. We know the people, we know the farmers, so we create this community, which is working like in a very beautiful way, yeah. In Japan, it's not working like this. It's gonna be a whole process. So in Japan, what we do is we produce coffee, cacao for Japan. So that's not local in Tokyo. But then in Japan, we use Japanese ingredients with our Peruvian ideas, or in the ideas coming from matter. Does it make sense? Yeah.
We had another question here. Probably got time for one more after that, maybe two.
Your research and development team at MATER, is it multidisciplinary? Is it just culinary practitioners, or do you have other experts, scientists, biologists, anthropologists? And can you speak on why it's important to have a multidisciplinary team when researching and developing ideas and concepts and not just recipes?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, imagine that living in Peru and having the Andes, La Sierra, and the Amazon, there's so much unknown things and things that we have no idea. So as cooks, I mean, like, we have very, very tiny means, to understand, what's going on. So that's why we need people that knows, and they know about anthropology, science, and the origins of ingredients, and also to provide us a knowledge and context. So as a chef, I'm not like what I'm saying now. Like if I don't spend time in the kitchen, it's because I'm spending more time with these people, because. Then I get to see that, okay, there's more to discover, so having all these unknown ingredients and unknown landscapes, so for me, it's an amazing motivation, like to go like once a week to meal to the Andes and to see something new. So I keep asking myself, how can I use this? I mean, who can help me with this? Is it an architect? Is it a biologist? Is it the science people?
I think that also combats what we spoke earlier about originality and staying original. When you start to take influence from way outside of food, you stop that issue of copying in a way, which happens.
Yeah, that's why we have this thing called afuera hay más, which means that most of the time we're in our kitchens, like this, but we don't see what's going on, and you are, confused by your obsession on making your perfect recipe, but you don't see, the whole thing.
A lot. Now you all put your hands up at the end. Danny, we tried to do them all, but I'll get in trouble, but it's fine. Let's go.
Well, first of all, thank you for what you do, because you're not only creating delicious food, but you're educating people. So thank you for that. And my question is, out of all the ingredients that you've worked with, which one do you think is like the most versatile, given the biodiversity that you have in Peru, like with potatoes and corn and all of that?
The potatoes.
Oh, no, I don't want the easy answer.
Next.
I want something different.
Potatoes, next.
Nah, no, I mean, there are too many. Like, if you see a potato, I mean, you can use as a thickener. We stabilize, like gelatos, and we can use potatoes in many, many ways. So
I think that's the easy
I can
answer.
tell you, okay, our obsession with cacao. So we are doing, in one serving, we are doing about 16 preparations of the whole cacao. So we take the endocarpo, exocarpo, all the skin, the outer skin. We take the pulp, we take the cascarilla, we take the nibs, we take the seeds, and we do a whole preparation surrounded by just the fruit of cacao. So I think this is good, because I'm not, and that's a good question, because I want that give me the chance to speak about it's not about the product, it's about what idea you have to do with the product, and how you use this product to influence people to develop new ideas within that idea. So let's say if I use the cacao as a thickener, as the white pulp, I use the seeds. You know, in the chocolate industry, we use only 15% of the whole fruits to make chocolate. Okay, so 85% is waste, and the idea is okay. Let's use the other 85%. So okay, can we use this cacao as an example for other ingredients? Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lorenzi, you speak to him all the time on the phone. You can ask him a question anytime, anywhere.
It's your home.
I'm sure it's very insightful, but
So in this case, my question is kind of related to the last part that you were talking about right now. When we talk in the restaurant industry, a lot of things are, let's say, short term on the shelf life of the product. So now that we are talking about that you're creating this new line and about being able to use all the parts of a single product, like we're talking right now, cacao, are you being able to do that in the same way on a shelf-stable product? Are you able to pass all that knowledge that you're doing into something that is more standardized or more long-term, let's say it like that?
we're big on CPG at Lengua.
What you mean with that example of cacao? Like
Exactly, like if,
yeah,
for example...
that's basically the idea. Like when he asked me, like, are you doing? I'm doing vinegars. Okay, vinegars of the skin of that cacao that we have like wasted. So that's for us the way to use all these ingredients. So it's like we're not getting like a vinegar for something that we already know. It's something that has to be unknown. And has something with a purpose, like something very meaningful. Like okay, we go to this place in the Amazon, and you see that they're chopping the cacao, the fruits, and you see the whole, the whole bosque, with all these wasted, seeds and skins of cacao. So how can we use that? So we use that photo. If I show you a photo of this, it's an ocean of cacao, wasted, yeah? And how can we use that, So now we are using the leaf of the cacao to make a green bar of chocolate, So it's the green bar is coming from the cacao leaf. And it is amazing. So that's another product that I'm doing the promotion now.
In the interest of not getting in too much trouble, we should be done, but Oscar looks so sad that I didn't let him ask his question, so...
I mean, we're talking about wine and fine dining, right? One of the best things that I love about the Matter universe is the non-alcoholic pairing. How do you get to that point to do... Because the pairing is to enhance the experience, and you guys do it very well with non-alcoholic preparation. How do you get there?
Thank you, Oscar, because I told you to make this question.
And Oscar, if Mr. Lorenzi is speaking about the non-alcoholic pairing, it must be good.
I'm kidding. You know why it's interesting? Because while we do in Central, we do this idea of ecosystems, okay? So you start in the ocean, then I mentioned that you go to the Andes, then you go to the Amazon, then you go back to the ocean, whatever. So every liquid that is coming with your dish is coming from that same ecosystem. So it makes totally sense, So that's one basic idea. And then, so once you have this idea that you are quite limited by that ecosystem, you start to see deep into that ecosystem, what are you finding, And then you start to see the product, what you ask, like, can I get the sweetness from the seaweed? Can I get the thickness if it's coming from the ocean? If I go to the mountains from the Andes of Peru, can I ferment the oca, the mashua, or all these vegetable roots in order to make another kind of liquid? So that's why every single liquid that we are getting is a whole work of matter and not just a restaurant. So there's another way to connect to other producers and farmers because we're not pushing the farmer. We're all together for the same purpose.
And from the perspective of a diner and someone who's kind of watched you progress, it's been amazing to see you go on that journey. And there's a moment sometimes where you get an ingredient and you're like, they haven't quite got to the center of what to do with this yet, but they're still exploring. And then you come back a few years later and, oh, now we're dehydrating this and we're laying it out and then we're making a cracker and we're deep frying it. And you sort of unlock this way to use all of these ingredients.
It's beautiful because you start to see like different textures, different uses of ingredients. You start to see new ingredients. Then you get to know new people. You start to work with people that you had no idea that you were supposed to be working with those kind of knowledge and people coming from different backgrounds. You start to work with people that is coming from, not only from Peru. So in this case, we are not okay. We are like everything has to come from Peru. Of course, we're using recipes or maybe like technologies from abroad, and that's fantastic. In this case, we are very open, but we know that we have to do something in our territory, and that's something that we don't negotiate. That it has to come from that ecosystem. No matter what, it has to work, and that's becoming an obsession for Matter because we have groups of people in one specific area just working with one project and one plan that it could last 1 month, it could last 2 years.
You could say staying rooted in your origins, which would be the perfect ending to this conversation. Please, a round of applause to Virgilio.
Thank you.